The streets of Swedru were buzzing in whispers long before the arrest. Everyone knew Abu Trica, Frederick Kumi, 31, as the quiet but brilliant operator in romance scams that spanned continents. He ran his empire like a chess player, measured, strategic, patient. But in the game against the FBI and international law enforcement, even the smartest moves can turn into fatal mistakes. From Swedru to Accra, the man was untouchable in his own mind. From Ohio to the U.S. federal system, he was being mapped quietly, patiently, and methodically. By the 11th of December 2025, it all came crashing down. The first mistake was over-reliance on AI and fake identities. Abu Trica used AI-generated photos and names to construct believable online personas, building emotional trust with victims. On the surface, this looked like genius hundreds of fake profiles, each targeting lonely, vulnerable elderly Americans. But the FBI has digital forensic teams that specialize in deconstructing this type of operation. Every AI-generated image, every fake email, every masked IP address leaves traces. Logs, metadata, device fingerprints. The moment investigators have one lead, they can reconstruct the network. Abu Trica underestimated how meticulous the feds are. Technology may have given him anonymity, but it also created digital breadcrumbs leading directly to him. Next, targeting elderly victims was a massive miscalculation. Fraudsters often go after high-value targets, but elderly Americans are a protected category under the Elder Justice Initiative and the Elder Abuse Prevention and Prosecution Act of 2017. When victims are elderly, federal prosecutors treat the case with increased priority. What Abu Trica saw as easy money became a red flag that triggered one of the most relentless investigative arms of the US, Department of Justice. Every phone call, every email, every transaction involving an elderly victim is carefully monitored, cataloged, and analyzed. The FBI treats the emotional manipulation as seriously as the financial theft. This meant Abu Trica's operations were automatically high profile. The third mistake was money movement missteps. He routed millions through co-conspirators, banks, and digital channels across Ohio, other U.S. states, and finally to Ghana. He thought the layers of intermediaries would protect him, but every bank flagged suspicious activity. Wire transfers, deposits, withdrawals all leave an audit trail. Patterns emerge. And the feds are trained to see them. One reused account, one predictable transaction schedule, one co-conspirator slip, and the entire network becomes visible. Abu Trica underestimated how powerful pattern recognition and international cooperation are. Fourth, overconfidence in secrecy. He trusted associates with sensitive roles. He believed loyalty among his inner circle was unbreakable, but the system knows human behavior better than street codes. Some associates talk under pressure, some are careless, some are caught and flipped. Abu Trica didn't account for the inevitable leaks. When one associate cooperates, the entire operation unravels. The FBI is patient. They don't need to rush. They let mistakes accumulate, creating a chain reaction that leads directly to the boss. Fifth, underestimating local enforcement. EOCO, Ghana Police, NACOC, the Ghana Cybersecurity Authority, and other agencies have dramatically improved their investigative capacity. Abu Trica acted as though Ghanaian authorities were weak, slow, or uninterested in US-linked cases. He forgot the power of international collaboration. EOCO and the FBI, among others, coordinated intelligence seamlessly. Surveillance, tracking, and cross-border communication ensured he couldn't hide. What he saw as local invisibility turned into a fatal illusion. Sixth, fronting assets and lifestyle. The man wasn't reckless, but large cash holdings, luxury cars, and unusual purchases drew attention. Authorities connected these to suspicious funds, building evidence that tied him to the multi-million-dollar fraud. While he was careful online, physical assets leave tangible traces that are impossible to hide once investigators are aware. The seizure of cars and near $1 million in cash was proof that flaunting, even discreetly, can expose you. Seventh, digital overexposure. Abu Trica communicated with victims and associates across multiple platforms, messaging apps, emails, and calls. Each communication, each intimate chat, each request for money became evidence. The very tools he used to manipulate victims created the trail investigators needed to indict him. Deleting accounts or masking messages could only do so much. The feds can recover metadata, reconstruct deleted messages, and cross-reference communications to prove intent. Every online move had consequences. Eighth, complacency from repeated success. Years of successful scams created arrogance. He thought experience and technology made him untouchable. But the FBI doesn't act out of haste. They act with precision. Abu Trica's confidence blinded him to the gradual buildup of evidence against him. Every success story in his network was quietly tracked, cataloged, and cross-referenced, forming the dossier that led to his indictment. Ninth, predictable operations. He concentrated activities in certain banks, geographic hubs, and recurring patterns. This predictability allowed investigators to map money flows, identify co-conspirators, and pinpoint the central operator him. The streets value consistency as control. The feds value it as traceability. Abu Trica's structured methods became his undoing. 10th, ignoring the global reach of law enforcement. He assumed crossing borders or using digital anonymity provided immunity. The arrest shows otherwise. International law enforcement has treaties, intelligence sharing agreements, and persistent monitoring. Crossing into international operations without understanding federal oversight is not a shield, it is a spotlight. The arrest on the 11th of December 2025 in Swedru, Ghana, was the culmination of these mistakes. The FBI Cleveland Division led the investigation with the Elder Justice Initiative, targeting romance scams against the elderly. Covert intelligence, financial tracking, and international collaboration pinpointed Abu Trica's location. EOCO, Ghana Police Service, NACOC, and the Ghana Cybersecurity Authority executed the arrest cleanly and efficiently. Assets were identified, the network was frozen, and Abu Trica was taken into custody without incident. The official FBI report confirms this. A federal grand jury has returned a 2-count indictment charging a Ghanaian national with defrauding elderly victims out of over $8 million. According to a recently unsealed indictment, Frederick Kumi, a.k.a. Emmanuel Kojoba Obeng, a.k.a. Abu Trica, 31 of Swedru, Ghana, was part of a criminal network that targeted elderly victims in romance scams across the United States since 2023. Kumi was arrested in Ghana on the 11th of December 2025. The report details how perpetrators used artificial intelligence software to assume false identities and form close personal relationships with victims. They gained victims' trust to obtain money and valuables, often targeting individuals through social media and online dating platforms under false pretenses. Victims were often elderly and engaged in romantic but physically distant relationships with perpetrators. The perpetrators built trust through frequent, intimate conversations by phone, email, and messaging platforms. They then requested money or valuables under false pretenses, such as urgent medical needs, travel expenses, or investment opportunities. Relying on these misrepresentations, victims were persuaded to send funds or valuables, which were then directed to co-conspirators posing as third parties. The indictment also outlines how Kumi worked with a network of co-conspirators to distribute the money from Ohio and across the United States to associates in the Republic of Ghana and other locations. He is charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud, money laundering conspiracy, and a forfeiture specification, facing up to 20 years in prison if convicted. The FBI and US Attorney's Office acknowledged the Ghanaian Corporation, EOCO, Ghana Police, Ghana Cybersecurity Authority, NACOC, National Intelligence Bureau, DEA Sensitive Investigation Unit, Homeland Security Investigations, DOJ Office of International Affairs, and the FBI Legal Attaché in Accra. This coordination ensured the arrest was flawless and legally airtight. Street lessons from this case are brutal. Abu Trica's mistakes show that overconfidence, reliance on technology, targeting protected victims, sloppy money movement, trusting associates blindly, and ignoring international enforcement can destroy even the most disciplined operations. Every phone, message, bank account, and asset leaves traces. Investigators are patient, methodical, and global in reach. One slip, and the empire collapses. In the end, Abu Trica's fall is a cautionary tale. The man who thought he controlled the game in Swedru and Ghana now faces US federal courts, potential double-digit prison time, asset forfeiture, restitution, and long-term monitoring. His network is disrupted, his lifestyle destroyed, and the message to every fraudster in Ghana and beyond is clear. The game has changed, and international law enforcement will catch you if you make even one critical mistake. The streets will remember this arrest. Young boys will analyze it. Veterans will nod knowingly. Abu Trica's mistakes, arrogance, predictable moves, targeting the vulnerable, overconfidence in tech, trusting the wrong people are lessons that every fraudster needs to see in black and white. The FBI doesn't rush. They wait, watch, and strike at the right moment. Abu Trica was the right moment, and his story is now a blueprint of how the mighty fall when the law and patience collide.